Hey guys, I'm back again in a part two. It was brought to my attention that my first video was actually cut off in the middle of it. So I've already filed a customer support request with Loom, so hopefully they'll get back to me and figure out how I can avoid that in the future. But what I'm going to do right now is basically re-record what I had recorded from the first video that got cut off. So this is kind of like the part two extended version. I'm just going to pick up right where I left off and go through a few of the other Bildr features that I had covered earlier today. So basically, I think that if I recall correctly, we were looking at the style class, and we have this color red over here. And what I was about to say before I got cut off is that you can, now that the class is on there, whenever I change any attributes of this class, so let me move my head over here. If I change the attributes of this class, then everything that has that class sitting on top of it should be affected. So if I want to change this to blue, both of these red texts should turn blue as well. That worked out. Let's see if it updated. There we go. It updated in real time in the live view. Again, that's actually super cool. I'm more accustomed to having to refresh, so that's awesome. What else? Okay, so down here, you can see that you can add properties to a styling class in the same way that I've done it already by just clicking this new property button and selecting the property. You have this way to view all properties as well, and you can find properties this way. So let's see, expand typography, etc. I don't often use this too much, mostly because this is more of a discover kind of mode rather, and for me, it's more of a, the usability term would be recall, I suppose, where I'm like searching for something. I know what I have in mind and I'm searching for it. And then finally, if CSS is your jam, you can actually just put CSS here. So background color yellow, I think that should work. And there you go, background color yellow. So what's cool about this is you can write your own CSS, or if you see CSS elements or CSS styles from like a Figma file or from anywhere else on the internet, you can just grab those, copy paste them, and dump them in here as well. So that's kind of what I was saying in the first video about if you're a developer, you don't need to feel constrained by the UI as well. So I think Bildr has struck a really nice balance between making things accessible with the UI on this side of things, but then also accessible for a more power user or developer to come in and just like, the UI doesn't slow you down. So let me delete that background color here. Cool, so we're all good. What else? The other things that are pretty neat here is you have different states. So you can style states. You can also style per devices. And so this is really good for turning your web application or your website into a mobile responsive kind of thing. So let me, let's do this. We can go back here. Let me remove this class so it turns black again. Let me create a new class. And I will call this MD color blue. And so what I'm going to make for this class is turn the text blue once the device hits a tablet size or smaller. So let's click on this style class. And here, just to show you again, we can do color and type in blue. So that turns it all for everyone. But what I actually want to do is make it only apply for tablet. Hit blue. And I don't know how that. So it might just be that I have to click on the tablet first and then do the blue thing. I'm not quite sure what the actual protocol is, but let's see if this will work. So what I'm trying to do is on desktop sizes or larger, keep it black by default. And then if it hits a smaller size, like tablet or smaller, then make it blue. Okay, so cool. That's as expected. It should stay black. Now let me go over here, just refresh just in case. No, I'm not trying to translate. And let me open up my mobile view. And you can see it already here, but let's just go. Okay, so we can, let me pop this bad boy out. Okay, move that over there, over here. And then this, you can expand it and it's black. So when we go to say an iPad, it turns blue. And if we go smaller, like my Pixel 2, it's still blue. And if we go back to maybe iPad Pro, I think is a bigger one. See, it's black again. So in any case, this is how you're able to do set styles, just like you would with HTML and CSS at different breakpoints, which is pretty neat. Okay. So that is styling. Now, basically what I've shown you so far between the first video and up until now in this video is basically how one can create fully customized static websites. And that's really great. And you can totally use Bildr for that. I think what makes Bildr really unique is that they have this whole set of other capabilities and features that allow you to really create a full-on web application. And so what I'm going to go through right now is a quick overview of like the action groups, and that's where a lot of the quote-unquote magic will happen, as well as show you the database. Right now, I don't think I'm going to be able to go through like creating and storing, or maybe I can. Let's see what happens. Okay, let us remove this. Cool, so that header has nothing on it right now. All right, so since I already did this before, some of the stuff is already set up, but let me just walk you through it. First thing that I did was, okay, so on the left-hand side, we've got action groups. Bildr comes preloaded, or your project will come preloaded with a few different action groups that you can use. And what I typically like to do is create a new action group. For this particular demo, I'm going to create an action that's pretty non-impactful, let's say. So let's click on I called it sign up click. So the idea here is when someone clicks this button, I want this action to run. And so how it works is you can create, you know what, just for demoing purposes, I'm going to create a separate one just so you see how this works. So I'm going to click on new and I'll create a new action group called sign up click 2. And it pops up this window on the right side. So what's going to happen is you have these buttons called add action or nest. And let's go ahead and do add action. So when I add action, similar to the elements panel on the left side of the screen, when I was drag and dropping like a page or any element onto that page, the actions side also comes with predefined actions that you can use. So for example, on elements, and they're grouped by their categories. So you have element actions, you have conditional logic, data, and so let's just look at some of these right now. So for an element, you can add a style class, you can disable an element, you can remove a style class, all these sorts of things. This is where basically what Bildr has done is they've taken very common actions that need to be done for a website or a web application and wrapped it up into like a very easy like button where I just like click it and then I populate it with whatever inputs that I need or parameters I need, and then it'll run it. Similarly, for this conditional logic, you have something really cool here, which is it can check if a user is logged in or not. And if the user is signed in, then you can say in the nav bar, show the user's name and email address. And if the user is not signed in, then perhaps you show a sign up and login button in the nav bar. So that's how you can handle different states of your application. And then you also have data. So data over here, you can, since Bildr has its own database that you can customize, you can create records, you can update records. So basic CRUD application, which is create, read, update, and delete. You can do all of those things. You can open up URLs, you can open up a open page into a browser, you can open page into a container. So you can do all different sorts of things, which this is really what gives you all those capabilities. On the API side, you can connect with any API that you want. They've got some here included already. So if I wanted to use like Twilio to send emails, drop this in, drop in my secret key, populate the fields like to, from, subject line, body text, and then it'll just send out from there. So they basically put wrappers around all these different APIs. And then on the user side, this is also super interesting because as a user builder, you don't have to worry about creating, like registering users, logging them in, any of that sort of stuff. So you have the usual suspects of like sign in with password, sign out, sign up with password, etc. One thing that they have that's really cool is this send magic link. So they've actually built magic links into their product. So um, you know, I've been looking at that as a way to use for my applications for authentication. So rather than requiring my users to do like a password, like create a password, perhaps they can just use their email as like almost like a two-factor authentication. Um, you got loads of things here. They are constantly adding new features in this actions section. So this is where I imagine a lot of the power is going to be coming from in the future. So where was I? I created this action group, sign up, click to, and what I want to do, let's say, is if someone clicks on this button, I want to turn this, I want to make this turn this text red. And now that I'm saying that out loud, I know that this is still blue, but I think it's called red. So let me change that back to red. Okay, cool. So basically what I'm trying to do is when someone clicks this button, add the class, the color red style class onto that header, Richard's Cool website. Okay, so we'll click on add action. Let's do this add style class right here. And we can choose color red, and we can choose which element to add it onto. And we can just, that didn't work, okay. Let me just move my head again. Really just need to get a bigger screen or something here. Click on this, and we can find Richard's Cool website. So what this action does is when it's triggered, it will add the color red class onto Richard's Cool website. All right, now the only thing is we have to trigger it. So let me go to this button, and you know what? Just for now, I will show you. So this icon right here, you can see it's the same like icon as the action over here. This tells you that there's an action attached to this button already. That's because last time I did this, like in the last video, I had already set this up. Let me go ahead and clear that out just so we can show you how that works. All right, so I removed it. Now this button is no longer attached to anything. So, you know, I come here, let me just refresh, even though it's probably not necessary. Come here, click this button, doesn't do anything. All right, perfect. What I want to do now is I want to connect this button. So we looked at styling before for the header elements. We also have this events tab that we can click on. And for events, there's all these pre-populated events. Actually, one that's missing, because I just removed it, is the click event. So on click, then do something. And so what I'm going to do right now is I do this on click button, and then I'm going to call my sign up click to action. Let's click on this thing over here. It actually pops open here. So now what this is saying is, let's just go back here to confirm that it's there. Yeah, so it's attached to some sort of action. If I click on this, then I click on this, then it shows me, oh, it's attached to this particular action, sign up click to. Let me go over here. Now let's test it. We click on the button, bam, turns red because it puts that style class on there. Let me just double check that. Turn this off. Turn it off here. Okay, so I forgot about this. Bildr calls they have unique IDs for their classes, so it's kind of abstracted away. But so I could match the CSS ID. I'm not going to do that right now because it's not really that necessary. But you get the idea. It's red. Okay, so that works. And what I also want to show is these actions can be chained along with each other. So for example, let's suppose that besides changing the header to red, I also want to disable the button. I'm going to click this disable element action here, and I'll just select an element to disable. I've got to move my head again. We've got this over here, sign up button, disable. And you'll also notice that there's this toggle, which you can say wait or don't wait. basically it's clear. So each action is laid out in order, and you can adjust this order, I believe. Cool. Yeah, so you can change the order. If it's don't wait, then it'll try to execute both of these actions at the same time. If you say wait, then it'll try to do step one before moving on to step two. Very simple. For this, I don't think I need it to wait, so I'll just say don't wait. Let me go back here, I'll refresh. And basically what ought to happen this time is if I click a button, this text will turn red and the button will no longer be clickable. So let me click it. Cool, that turned red, and that kind of got grayed out if you see it. So that indicates that it's no longer active as well. So that's another thing that's really cool. And then finally, which adds an even, I don't know how to just, what's the word for this? Adds more power is the idea of nesting action groups. So besides the fact of you can add groups like this, certainly, or you can add actions like this one by one. Another thing that you can do is you can actually nest action groups within each other. What is this one again? Show. Okay, yeah. Let us let me, you know what I'll do? I'm gonna break this out, element add style. I don't know if I can copy that. Cool. Let's see if I can copy it over into another action group. Add color red class. So we'll call that add action. Okay, it doesn't look like I can copy and paste. Oh, there, maybe. Hey, okay, there we go. So that worked. And so what I've done is I've created a separate action group called add color red class. And so just for demoing purposes, let me delete this particular action. And so the first thing that happens, since the button sign up is attached to the sign up click to, the first thing that happens is that button gets disabled. The next thing that happens is I could add an action, or similarly, I can put in a whole group. So this group can like hold multiple actions, of course. And so this ought to do the same thing as what we had just a second ago. But the idea here is that you can basically, how do I say this? You can basically group actions within each other. So that's a really nice way of organizing or making your code, if you will, much more modular. You can kind of like predefine, you can scope like smaller, I'm like stumbling over all the actual coding terminology right now, but you can basically create different methods or functions that you can reuse in your application. Okay, so let's see, now when I click on this, it'll actually go to that action group and then you can kind of see what's going on. So now if I did this correctly, click over here again, make sure that sign up click 2, good, disable the button, add the red color class. All right, let's refresh. So literally this should do the same exact thing. The only difference is that instead of calling the action directly here, I nested the action group. So let me hit this button. Boom, done, perfect. Okay, so that's an overview of actions. You know, I think I'll probably do the database stuff in another video. This one's feeling kind of heavy and long, but just to show you real quick, that stuff ought to be over here. So they have end users, which is kind of like a database collection pre-populated for all projects. And you have some pre-built fields in here like ID and login ID. That's what you would ought to use for your users table, basically. And then secondly, let me go back to menu. You can go to data collection. So this is the more generic version of data collection. So you can create a new collection. We can call it, say I'm making recipes. Okay, for my new recipe web app. So we've got recipes, and then we can create all the different fields. So it comes pre-populated with all of these fields, but then I can create new fields like, you know, title, let's say. And so then each of my recipes might have a title. So in any case, you can create these data collections. You know, I would probably spin up a form and then use that form to connect with action groups to create a new record. And let me just go back to that real quick. You know, I'll probably do another video on just how to create records in a table at some other point. But it's faster. Data create record, you know, and then you can click on this, and then you can select your data collection. So at this point, I can create a new recipe. I can map whatever fields I need to map. If I had a form, then I could bring those fields from that form over into when I'm creating the recipe. So you kind of get the idea, like it's pretty impressive in terms of a fully functioning like CRUD application, like I mentioned earlier. And if you really boil it down, most of the software tools and services that we use today are kind of boiled down to the same thing. So in any case, this is part 2 of my Bildr overview. I believe I covered most of the things that are up to note. Like, there's obviously tons more here. What I hope to do in the future is to record some videos of myself actually building something. So like I said, I'm like using Bildr a lot as one of the early users, and I'm trying to build out more projects myself as well using Bildr. So hopefully you guys will be hearing from me on that kind of stuff very soon. If you have any questions, let me know. Tweet me, Richard J. Lowe, on Twitter, or you can comment on this YouTube video below, and I'll get back to you. Thanks.